Hey everyone, One Dragon here. Today I wanted to discuss my thoughts on the new game mode released in Kingdom 80's The Survival Mixtapes. I've achieved the Curse Crown on all 5 different mixtapes, and overall the 5th mixtape, in my opinion, is the most difficult challenge island, even comparing with the Kingdom 2 Crowns ones, due to its unique mechanics. For those of you that want to give this a go, you have to complete the campaign first. Then I got this screen stating that you've proven yourself ready, and then you can click on the mixtapes to access it. Once unlocked, you can scroll through the 5 mixtapes using the fast forward or rewind buttons. Each of the mixtapes are endless survival maps with a couple similarities to Plague Island from Two Crowns. Although the maps are endless, I mainly ended up playing until the Curse Crown, with the exception of the 5th mixtape, where I tried to survive as long as possible and made it to 54 days. Each mixtape will show what's required to get the bronze, silver, and gold crowns. The curse crown requirement is hidden, but it does show your personal high score, which is a nice touch. I'm not sure if there are other requirements, but I unlock the curse crown on every mixtape 7 days after the gold crown requirement. Also, similar to the Two Crowns Challenge Islands, you only have the one life, and if your crown is stolen, then you'll have to restart. Mechanic changes. Before diving into the mixtapes, there were a couple of changes to the base game that are worth noting. First of all, knights have a buffed leaf attack that will knock back greed from walls, and the siege dumpster, they'll also come along during the siege. Their attack damages greed and gives them a short time of immunity as shown by the flashing. After they lose their immunity, they will start to take damage as normal and lose coins. It's good to see that they address this issue since it was almost not worth buying knights until now. Overall, I found this new ability to be extremely useful when you're dealing with crushers or those big hermit crab greed, either when you're destroying portals and fighting retaliation waves, or just defending from big numbers of enemies. Since they knock back from walls, the knights are also really important for defending the opposite side where you're personally not defending with the dumpster. Keep in mind, since 2 knights follow the dumpster, you can run into an issue where you have 4 of them on one side. What you can do is pay 1 coin to put down the dumpster, and then 2 of the knights will start rotating or moving to the opposite side. Next, turrets can be destroyed, but workers repair them for free in the mornings. This means that you can't build towers too far away from your walls, since the builders will need time to repair and then retreat back to safety before the evening hits. Apparently, their rate of fire has also been rebalanced, but I didn't use turrets enough beforehand to closely compare the changes. There's a few other notes including the curse difficulty being rebalanced, but I'm mainly discussing the survival mixtapes today, so I'll link the notes in the description. Map layout and RNG. The first 4 mixtapes correspond with the first 4 maps of the campaign. So the first map is the summer camp in the forest, second is the suburbs, third is the city, and fourth is the Newlands Mall. The 5th mixtape reuses the suburbs, but more on that later. Overall, the maps are pretty large and have 4 to 5 coin chests, 4 to 5 greed portals, and 3 random mounts from any chapter in the campaign. Since the mounts are random, I had the chance to use the DeLorean and Unicorn more than just the last chapter of the campaign, which was really fun. In my experience, it's a good idea to use the fastest mount you have access to in the early game, so that you can easily rotate between both sides of your kingdom and to recruit kids. Then, swap to a damaged mount if the waves get tough enough. Each map also has a random statue that you normally find in the other kingdom game, but you only need coins to unlock them. Since it's random, I've only come across the archery and knight statue, but I've also heard you can find the builder or wall statue as well. Similar to Plague Island, instead of having cave entrances, both sides are blocked by a big unbreakable wall with a greed tentacle thing attached, and that can attack the player. This obviously prevents you from attacking and sealing off the portals. Next up, the greed. The greed hit quite hard on each mixtape and scaled to the point where there are multiple crushers, breeders, and eventually armored breeders. blood moons occur every 7 days, and with those blood moons come crown stealers, either within the wave or riding on top of greeders. Similar to the late game of Plague Island, you'll eventually hit a point where the greed attack quite early in the daytime, and there'll be a significant number of greeders in the back. Once you hit this point, any greed that you don't clear out during the evening will retreat as soon as it's daytime, which might delay your builders from doing things like repairing turrets or archers from hunting. Obviously, the most difficult part is the later blood moons, where the greed do not retreat and you have to defeat them all. This brings me to the fifth and final mixtape. The fifth blank mixtape is by far the hardest and for me the most enjoyable part of this update. It's exciting and fun if you like the challenge, and forces you to play the game very differently from normal. It has a few unique mechanics that I recommend experiencing without any spoilers, so if you want to give this a go without spoilers, skip this part of the video. Unlike the other mixtapes, the base abilities of the Champ and Tinkerer do not work. So by base abilities, I mean the charge attack that the Champ uses to defeat greed, and the push ability from the Tinkerer. Their other roles, like pushing the dumpster, building tower upgrades or repairing, still work. Since there was no hint that there'd be any mechanic changes, I honestly thought it was a bug the first time I came across it. I tried restarting a few times, but since it didn't change, I just kept playing. The next and most important mechanic is that if walls or towers fall, they can no longer be rebuilt. This means that if the greed push you back and destroy walls or towers, they will be destroyed permanently. To clarify, if they get damaged but not destroyed, they can be repaired. In my initial playthrough, this mechanic caught me by surprise, and at first I thought the builders were occupied. But when I found that there were idle builders, I assumed that it was just part of the challenge, especially considering the followers weren't using their abilities. In my first playthrough, I went in spoiler free and made it to day 35, the 5th blood moon, but by that time I had lost all of my defenses to earlier waves of greed, so defeat was inevitable. One thing to keep in mind is that the income buildings or the kit chores like the lemonade stand or the pool stop producing coins if the walls around them are destroyed, meaning it's a good idea to prioritize defending them if you can. However, in my second attempt, since I was aware of the new mechanics, I was able to change up my strategy. I made sure that when I expanded the walls, they wouldn't get destroyed as easily, and ended up expanding the kingdom much further than I normally do. In terms of defending, I would pick a side and would often sacrifice coins just to use the DeLorean charge into different greed. I'd do my best to stall the giant slug things and breeders, especially when they would retreat during the day. In my second attempt, it was much easier to get the Cursed Crown, but it involved a range of tough decisions like deciding which side to defend first and when to expand. I ended up making it to day 54 when I eventually lost my crown, and I'm excited to try it again and see if I can make it further. I'll probably piece together the full playthrough so you can see the ideas that I tested out and the greed waves in full. Lastly, bugs and other issues. Overall, I encountered one bug where a crusher was regularly getting stuck on a wall and not attacking or facing the wrong direction, but it only happened in that one playthrough. After I restarted the level, it didn't occur again. One thing to watch out for is on the new Landsmall Island, on the right side, the trees spawned too close to the barrier or the tentacle thing. This meant that my builders were caught in a loop, trying to cut down the trees, but were unable to get to them since the tentacle thing is considered an enemy and they would be stuck running away. I still managed to get the Cursed Crown in my first attempt, but was constantly having to buy more builders than what I needed. Overall, the Endless Survival mixtapes are quite fun, and compared to the last chapter of the campaign, where you only get to use the DeLorean and Unicorn on the final stage, you can randomly get them in mixtapes and use them for quite a while. Getting the Cursed Crown or surviving as long as possible on the 5th and final mixtape may be the most difficult challenge in the Kingdom series, or at least on par with Dire Island. I personally had a lot of fun with this one. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments. Subscribe if you liked the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.